Hey everybody, let me grab the different camera. Give me just a second. All right, so good evening. I apologize. It has been a day. You guys, I am so glad you are here. I'm Tammy. I'm the Siberian Wind. If you have not checked out my channel before, I am glad you are here. If you are unable to chat, you do have to be a subscriber for 5 minutes. If you have problems with getting into the chat, go ahead and subscribe. Pop out for after 5 minutes. If you can't chat, pop out for just a moment, pop back in. You should be able to chat. So good Tuesday evening to everyone. I see I've got Michelle's Crafts and More. Good evening. I've got Beverly Akins says, hey Tammy and everyone. Good evening to you. I've got Denise Patch 33 saying hello. Guess who Nancy with hi y'all. And I've got Giovanna. Good evening everyone. Good evening Giovanna. She's also saying she's only popping in for a few minutes as it's 1 a.m. and I should be in bed. No worries, Giovanna. You know there is always replay. We are going to be here for about an hour and a half tonight. So it's going to put you about to 2:30 in the morning. So that is entirely up to you. You should get some sleep. You've been up all day. Beverly Akins is here saying, sleep well, Giovanna. I've got Lisa from Lisa's Quilting Corner saying hi all. Good evening, Lisa. Dawn saying hello, everyone. Good evening to Dawn. I've got Rayanne Crow back in town just in time to see you. Well, thank you, Rayanne. I am glad you are here. Okay, you guys. I will catch anybody else who comes up in the chat as we get there. So, if you remember, I put out the option so you guys could choose what my next project was going to be. You guys chose Sparkle. It is a very, very cute looking quilt, and it is done with Christmas fabrics. Mona did what? Hi, Mona. Glad you are here. She's saying hi to everyone. And Giovanna says, well, I took a nap before the live. Debbie, gotcha. I love you, Giovanna. You are a sweetheart. All right, so you guys picked this quilt kit, and I said I would go ahead and get started on it. Well, that's what we're doing tonight. Andrea, good evening. She says, howdy, everyone. I did start a few minutes early, Andrea. I know Giovanna probably needs to get some sleep. And so I just went ahead and got going. You haven't missed anything. We are going to, I've just been saying hello. I think that's what I'm going to start doing is I will pop in a few minutes early and just go ahead and start getting some hellos into everyone because you all are welcome here. Oh, you're blushing. Oh, well, so am I. You are welcome, Giovanna. All right, so Sparkle is done with a template. So we are going to do some template cutting tonight. We're going to get that done. And because I can't give you guys the pattern instructions, it is still available for purchase. Let me drop, if you are watching on the replay, there is a link for the pattern description for the pattern in the description box. So you are not being left out. I did have to go on a deep web search to go find this pattern. I could only find it in stock at one location. I think it's like either between $9 and $12. I don't remember exactly how much. The quilt kit or the quilt comes out to be 75 inches by 75 inches. So it's a fairly decent sized quilt. It's not anything to sneeze at. It is not going to be a hard quilt to put together from what I can tell. And that's just looking at it because again, I haven't tested any of this. This was a purchased pattern, when I bought the kit. So I don't know how hard it's going to be to put together, but you guys will get to see that firsthand. But because the pattern is available for purchase somewhere, I cannot give you any measurements. So you guys will not get measurements. Can't do it, won't do it. I respect other designers too much to do that. So you guys will see me put it together. You guys will get to see the construction of it. You just won't have any measurements. So if you do want to go buy the pattern, there is the link in the description box. I also wanted to give you guys the chance, and I'm putting this gonna put this one in the chat box as well. There's a link, and it will also be in the description box below the video for the link to the fabrics. There it is. Nightbot just put it up there for me. The fabrics that I am using are from Moda. They are Moda fabrics, but they are several years old because I bought this in 2017. If not, yeah, 2017. So this is, you know, a 7-year-old kit. So the fabrics may or may not be available for purchase, but I wanted you guys to be able to see them, to get up close and personal with them. And so if you see one of the fabrics that I'm working with and you want to find out more about what it looks like, just click that link. It does go to the site where it's got like the full little color card or whatever, so you should be able to see everything. If the links are not working, we have been having, hi Laura, glad you are here. She says hi Tammy and everyone. If the links do not work, if Nightbot is not functioning properly, please put it in the chat. Let me know. I know some other content creators have been struggling with their Nightbot, and I want to make sure if it is a systemic issue that I do something, whatever I can do. If you do have a channel, please do exclamation selfie. Drop your link into the channel. If you have not hit the thumbs up, please hit the thumbs up. Let YouTube know that you like my channel, that you like my content, and you are happy to be here. No matter how much you might not be happy to be here, just let YouTube think that you're happy, okay? You know, I gotta throw a few things in. All right. So, if you have not ever cut, Nancy saying hi to Mona. All right. So we are officially we are on time to be started. So I'm not going to do a lot of extra fluff or whatever. However, I'm going to bring you guys to the overhead camera, and you guys are going to see what we are looking at. So I'm going to be off to the side of the camera, and then you guys are going to get to see overhead. And I apologize if there's any glare. I'm trying to do my best about it, but if something's in the way, let me know. Let me make an adjustment, okay? I need it in the chat so that I know that there's a problem. Okay. All right, so you guys get to see my mouse, my cute little mouse pad, and my cutting mat. Now, this is what I'm using as template plastic. Pajama quilter, oh gosh, I know, Kimberly, glad you are here. There we go. Yes, Giovanni, you are absolutely right. And I completely agree. If you do not like my channel, go ahead and hit that thumbs down. I am perfectly fine with that. Andrea is saying both links worked. Thank you. But yeah, if you hit that thumbs down, YouTube counts it as a thumbs up for me. It doesn't matter which one you hit. So if you hate my guts, go ahead and hit the thumbs down. I will not be upset. So go ahead and do it. It's not a problem. But YouTube respects both of them. Okay, so this is a Mylar template plastic. It is actually considered a stencil plastic. So let me grab the link and put that one in there as well. This is the last link, and it is also in the description as well. So if you are catching me on the replay, it should be as well in the description. Let me make sure Nightbot pulls that, make sure I did the right command for Nightbot. And Nightbot is definitely taking some time today. So let me go double check to make sure I used the right one. No, I did not, so that is on me. All right, there we go. We are going for product, not products. All right, so Nightbot should grab that one since it grabbed the others just fine. All right, there we go. All right, so that is a link to the template plastic. This is 12 inches by 24 inches. So if you are going to do a lot of templates, or you have the likelihood that you're going to do a lot of templates, you can pick this up. One thing I use this for is when I make clothing patterns. If it is something I'm going to repeatedly make, I will use this template plastic. Now I know a lot of people are doing the Project Dress a Girl. This may not be big enough. 12 by 24 may not be big enough. But for baby clothes, or if you are cutting bag patterns, things like that. Hi Joyce, glad you are here. She's saying hi Tammy and all. So if you tend to do a lot of that, this template plastic is great for that. And I will show you guys what I do once I get this drawn out. So the book does give us a couple of templates, and I do apologize that, you know, I'm going to have to put it kind of in front of my face. There we go. So it does give me a couple of templates, and it gives me a size reference. So if I were to copy these off, it would be the correct sizes, all of that. Okay. So these are part of the pattern. Okay. Let me just make sure that when it says the 1 inch square when printed, all right, we are good. We are good. So I can just copy these. All right. So what I'm going to do to conserve my template plastic is I am actually going to put my templates all the way to the edge so I don't have extra hangover. All right. I apologize, you guys. The camera is going to move a little bit. I'm going to lower it down so you guys are not so far removed from what I'm doing, and we will adjust it again later. All right. Hi, Donnell. Glad you are here. Glad you could join us. All right. So all I'm going to do, because this one piece does have the little right angle down here, I am just going to line it up directly on the right angle of the template plastic. This is a brand new sheet, so it is absolutely accurate exactly where it's at. Okay, so I know this may be a little hard to see because of the glare and everything else, so I do apologize, but you guys will be able to see a lot more clearly in a minute. So the templates that are included with this do come with seam allowance. And if I was interested in tracing the seam allowance, I absolutely could, but I'm not too awfully worried about it. So, and I am just using a Sharpie. I'm not using anything fancy, but it is an extra fine point. Is listed as an ultra fine point. So that's how I'm going to get my super tiny size pieces, or super tiny size template lines. So you guys can already see that drawn on there. So to conserve template plastic, there's no need, because I know I'm going to be cutting and these templates fit right next to each other. There's no need to waste template plastic just because the way that the pattern is written. Hi, Joy T. Wow, the chat is like going like way up, you guys. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. All right, so I only have 2 template pieces to draw, and I'm not super worried. You know, I just like my finger and trying to get the extra out of the way. That is out of pure habit. That is not necessary. You can absolutely leave it where it fell if your marker does go over a little bit, because this is not going to be on your fabric. It does not matter. And I'm just going to mark it as A. So I have already looked at the pattern. So there's 2 templates that are being used. Oh, if I can pick it up. It likes to stick. So and these are upside down. This is template B, and that is template A. So A is reversible. It doesn't matter which way A goes. A is reversible. B is not reverse, or B is going to matter which way you put it on your fabric. So the upside is going to be B, and then the back side is B reversed, or BR. So if you're seeing a pattern that has a template or anything like that, that is what you are looking at. you are looking at whether or not it is B or B reverse or whatever format you're looking at. All right. You guys are all just saying hi to everybody. You're so friendly. I know I'm being silly. I'm sorry. But you guys are so friendly. I can erase it with alcohol. Yes, I can. I'm not actually worried about it because it's just my template plastic. If I was making this for someone else, then I might worry about it. But I'm not going to worry about it. Now you can cut this out with a rotary cutter. I am going to use craft scissors. All my gray Fiskars that have the spring loaded are my craft ones. They're the ones I've retired. All the ones with the white handles are white and orange. Those are my current ones. Joy T is listed to everybody. She's got a whole bunch of people listed that she's saying hi to. You guys are so sweet. Thank you so much. All right, so let me get these cut out. It's not going to take very long at all because, again, it is just 2 pieces. It's not anything super fancy. It's not going to be hard. There's no curves or anything like that. Not with this pattern. There will be some others that we're going to do in the future where you absolutely will need that. We're quilted together. I love that, Joy T. That's perfect. That is absolutely perfect. So I got through and cut all 40 of my fat 8s today. And I cut all of my background as well. Hi, Lisa. Lisa's saying hi, everybody. She comes up as Frog Kermit. Gotta love the creative names. All right. So I have my 2 template pieces here. And there's 2 ways that you can cut. Let me make sure I'm grabbing my right strips for this. All right. So I have smaller strips and I have larger strips. These are my smaller ones. And this is the size that they told me to cut them. Okay. So out of my fabric strips, Michelle's Crafts and More. Fiskars is an awesome company. If your product breaks, just contact them and they will replace it. I have fixed more pairs of these than I care to admit because I have broken a few. But yeah, I completely believe that they would. All right, so now that I've got my template cut out, I can come here and lay this out. And if I wanted to cut this with scissors, what I would do is I would just take some kind of marking device and go ahead and draw the lines for my pieces. So this is a chalk pen kind of thing. I'll show you guys, it's a Chaco liner, but I'll show it to you in more detail in just a second. And I know it may be hard to see, but you can just go and mark. And then you can take scissors. I would take fabric scissors, not craft ones. But you can just take scissors and cut on your marked lines. Or you can do what I'm going to end up doing. I'm not going to do it on camera because I'm not supposed to, you guys. I wish I could. But this template is actually it almost is a standard measurement. It's not quite, but it is almost. Well, maybe it is. Maybe it is. Hang on. Let me see. No, it's not exactly a standard measurement. So what I would do personally is I would tape my template to my ruler and then I will move my ruler down as I go. So that is one way to do it as well. Because again, it's not a standard size. So they didn't give you rotary cutting instructions with this pattern. So that's probably what I'm going to be doing, is going back and forth. Now the other option is you can just simply lay it on your strip, lay your ruler on top of it, and cut that, and then rotate back and forth however you need to. And I apologize, guys. My nose is itching like crazy, and I do not know why. All right, so that is what's going to happen with template A. And these are those fat 8s that I pulled out. I think I called them fat quarters last time, or when I originally pulled them out, but they are actually fat 8s. Now the others, 26, okay. So there's 40 strips here, and there's going to be 9. Yeah, there's going to be 9 of these from each of the 40. So that's 360 of these that's going to be cut out, okay? The others, I told you I cut my background, you guys. I was not joking. I cut all 4.5 yards, something like that. Something like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. These are my other strips. These are not my cut into strips. And so the background piece and this template plastic is so hard to see against this fabric. But the background template piece, I'll end up cutting like that and then rotating and cutting like that. Do you find out? Wow. Yeah. I got this cut out today. All right. While I am thinking about it, Andrea, you are in the chat, correct? If you will chime in, let me know you are here. I have something specifically that I made sure of for you. And I want to make sure you're here. That way I know you hear it. I am going to talk to Debbie, you guys, from In Quilt Fact. And Debbie is going to be coming over here, and we are going to talk tomorrow evening after I get done with my obligations. She and I are going to talk, and you are here. Good, thank you. Give me just a moment. So we are going to talk and get a schedule set up. I'm looking at trying to have her over here in May, the beginning of May, and we will do our fat quarter friendly project then. Okay. So while I am on the subject of the fat quarter friendly project, so if your fat quarters, if your designs can be cut into 2.5-inch strips and you can still see the design, then that fat quarter will work for your project. I'm not going to give any clues about how you're going to be cutting it, but if the pattern on your fat quarters for your fat quarter friendly project can be cut into 2.5-inch strips and cut completely into 2.5-inch strips, and they would look fine, that's what you need to have as your fat quarters. If your fat quarters have a really big design and it's not going to make sense once they're cut into 2.5-inch strips, we're not cutting 2.5-inch strips, okay? But if cutting a 2.5-inch strip out, or all the 2.5-inch strips you could get out of a fat quarter, if that will cut it up too much for it to make sense, yes, you could. Well, we're not cutting 2.5-inch strips, but yes, you can use yardage, Giovanna. But same deal. So if you can cut 2.5-inch strips out of your yardage or out of your fat quarters or whatever else, if you are looking at it, take your ruler. Let me move these out of the way for a second. And actually, I may be able to use some of these to show you. All right. So let me grab. Let me grab these same fat quarters that I used the other day. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. All right, so this is a 4-inch ruler. So we've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Yeah, I would go with small prints when you can. So if I cut this fat quarter, this is multiple fat quarters rolled onto here. I've got 1, 2.5. So this direction, the fat quarter makes sense. Cut into a 2.5-inch strip. And 1, 2.5. So it might be okay. You might be able to fudge it. I can't tell you how it's going to be cut because that's giving away too much information in advance. But if cutting part of the snowman off might give you a lot of grief, then that's not going to work for keeping the pattern. Those for your son are about 4-inch skulls, so I would have to do 4.5 to 5-inch squares or strips. Yep, so that will be, if it gives the same effect, then maybe. So it's kind of a hit or miss. I would save the ones that are questionable until after you've seen the pattern and how it lays out. There's an alternate pattern option that you could do. It's just it's not going to be as pretty, in my opinion. But that is my opinion, so it's up to you. So I mean, if you cut a 4.5 to 5-inch and you if you can send, if, the set, I'm so sorry, I can't talk tonight. So that 2.5 inches, if I gave a 1/4-inch seam allowance on the top of the snowman, and 2.5 inches, it cuts off this bottom section. I'm not talking about that. So literally, you're going to see a guaranteed 2.5 inches. So if 2.5 inches is too small for that print, that will have to it'll probably have to wait. It would be a bad print to get away with the main blocks that I'm using. So like this Superman print, we're going to take a look at it. So these Superman pieces are 2 inches as far as they're tall, and they are 2.5 wide. So they will work. I will probably do something else for this one. I have a pattern that I found that will work for this fabric. There, and that works. I totally understand. I just wanted to make sure that we were covering whether or not the pattern would work. Just because I know a lot of what I think your son had picked out was going to be bigger prints. Like this Harry Potter, for example. I think as long as the words Harry Potter ended up somewhere in it, then the rest of it would be fine, because you'd be able to see parts of the castle and parts of Hogwarts. You'd be able to see parts and sections, so that would work. The others may not. If you wanted it as a theme or whatever. Same thing here. These flowers are really small. They're less than 1 inch. So a pattern like this, absolutely perfect. It will work well. So if you are Tracy, good evening. I think it's the first time I've seen you in my chat. Glad you are here. Hello. Hello, hello. She says hello to all. Can we start with jelly rolls? No. This will not be a jelly roll pattern. I wish I could help you, but no. I will do a jelly roll pattern later, but this one is fat quarters. And we are going to be using every inch of that fat quarter. So you're not going to have leftovers. You're not going to have waste. There is there's a little bit that would be waste, but it will be used for the back. So you will need full fat quarters. Donnell, but Mom, yeah, nope. You have to use fat quarters for this, or yardage. You can use fat quarters or yardage because you have to be able to cut much bigger strips than. Lisa, my Patronus is a sewing machine. Love it. I'm not a huge. I will say this. I'm not a huge Harry Potter fan. This was the Harry Potter fabric was part of a commission that I did. So I'm not a huge Harry Potter fan, but I've watched them. And I do enjoy them. Chloe, good evening. She says, hello all. Hello, Miss Chloe. We were just talking about the Fat Quarter Friendly project. Fat Quarter Shopping I Go. Yes, so let me grab my book real quick. Where did I put it? Hang on. Oh. All right, so I am back. So when I am planning, you guys, I use stuff like steno books. I use legal pads. I use sketchbooks. So like my math is all in my steno book and my drawing is all in my sketch pad. You'll have to watch replay. Yeah. So basically what I was showing is if you are looking at your fat quarter, it's not that I'm not a Harry Potter fan, Donnell. I am a Harry Potter fan. It's just not my end all and be all. So if you take your ruler and you mark out 2.5 inches, if you can get 2.5 inches, like if you cut a 2.5 inch strip, do not cut 2.5 inch strips, but if you were to cut a 2.5 inch strip, do you see your entire pattern? Or does it cut it up too much that you can't work with it? Like you don't see the design. That's the biggest deal, is you do need to choose from fat quarters that have a smaller print, that are not like landscape designs, and they're like, if they're 2 inch or smaller, you're absolutely going to be able to see exactly what that fabric was. Jamie, I'm just messing with you. No, you are fine. You are fine, Donnell. Lisa says, maybe we should have a fabric trade. I have a Harry Potter collection going. Lisa, only if I get to choose what I get. Oh, God, I love it. All right, so, and I do just a good excuse to go shopping. Yes, oh, Giovanni, yeah, Donnell definitely has fabric. So you guys, you're not going to see all my notes, but like that's like literally, I math. I definitely math. Giovanna's telling Donnell, no shopping, you have enough. So where was I going to look? Okay. So for the throw size, you need a total of 24 fat quarters. Okay. So 12 of a print, 12 of a background, whatever background you want to use. If you want to use the same fabric for everything, you absolutely can. Let me pull out what I'm going to do. So I may actually use this one. I don't know yet. But I bought yardage for my background. This is a white that has like silver dots on it. And it does have some sparkle to it. So you guys, I bought extra. You know, don't hate me for it. But I did buy extra. So I will have plenty for backing as well. So this is going to be my background. And then, so I'm going to grab blue fat quarters. And I'm just going to pick all of my blue fat quarters and just start going through them. So you will need 12 fat quarters or 3 yards of your background. And you will need 12 fat quarters of your prints, whatever you're going to use as your prints. Let's see, what did I miss? Come on over. Yeah, I will eventually. We'll get there. Giovanna says, I am her auntie I'm looking out for. Oh, I know. Y'all are a mess. But yeah, so, choose a background that is either bold or is very muted, so that when you choose your fat quarters, you either choose muted fat quarters or you choose bold fat quarters. So do one that's bold, one that's not. Okay? That will help make this process a lot easier. Now, if you want to do it scrappy, you could do 12 different fat quarters for your background. I'm not doing that for mine, but you can. Okay? It will work both ways. It's just going to be a busier quilt. The more different fabrics you add to it, it's going to be busier. All right, so if you are doing a throw size of this, you will need 12 of each. So 12 prints, 12 backgrounds. If you are doing a king size, you will need a total of 56 fat quarters, which is divided up 28 prints and 28 backgrounds. How much do you need for the background? If you are doing a throw size, you will need 3 yards. That's the equivalent to the 12 fat quarters of background. For the king size, let me math real quick. Let's see. You are going to need 7 yards of background. So it sounds like a lot, but it will come out, quite perfectly. And you're going to have some of your background and some of your fat quarters using for the back. Okay? So you are going to have a pieced back. So you don't have to necessarily get an entire big long piece. You will have extra. What is the throw size fat quarters? Throw size is 12 of each. So 12 prints, 12 backgrounds. So a total of 24. And so I will post like a couple of different community page things. I'll do a couple of shorts and all of that, because when I go to launch this, I want everybody who wants to participate to be able to do it live. Yes, exactly. 24 total fat quarters for throw size. But I do want to make sure that you're aware that you do need a print, or you do need a bold or a color or something for your focus fabric, if you want to call it that. And then you need something that's going to go well with it. See, I may not have a whole lot of other blues that look good with this one, but I've got a whole ton of blues. But I only need 12 because I'm only doing a throw. But if you want to do something bigger, you absolutely can. And you can repeat. So like if I had 2 fat quarters of this, I could do 2 of these. Okay. I'm not going to give you any clues. You will have, okay, I will give you one clue. No other hints, no other clues. For when you use this fabric, you will make 2 blocks. Okay? So this fabric, yes, 12 of each. So 24 total. So if I were to use this fabric, I will have this fabric in 2 blocks. You can make it scrappier, and I will show you how to make it scrappier. You're so digging this whole mystery quilt. Yeah, I actually made 2 blocks earlier today. And it took me, not counting pressing my fat quarters, it took me an hour to make 2 blocks. It wasn't bad. It was not bad at all. I promise it's not bad. My sample quilt is going to be up for a giveaway once all this is done. So yeah, I'm excited. So yeah, this is what, I'm going to be using this. Let me grab, so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Oh. So I have light blues and I have dark blues, okay? So, I have blues. So I could use that, and this fabric, those will be okay. This is less than 2 inches, so the little dolls are okay. I do not have an exact date, Donnell. I am going to be bringing Debbie over here, and we haven't discussed it in any more detail than that. But I am looking at bringing her over here in May because I have the Chadron, Nebraska Quilt Show. I'm going to go to the last weekend of April. Will it be somewhat beginner friendly? Yes, absolutely, Denise. It is going to be incredibly easy to do. So yes, good questions. Thank you so much for asking those. Andrea, are you giving cutting instructions ahead of time? You will cut with me on the live. It is going to be easy. Your main instructions for homework in advance, you can absolutely use solids, Giovanna. Perfect. Solids will work. Your your advanced instructions to get ready will be to press your fat quarters so that everything is as flat as it can be. If you will starch, that will help as well. Good evening, Sean. Thank you. Glad you are here. We were just talking about the mystery quilt project that I am doing because it's apparently a mystery because I'm not giving too many hints. All right, so it is definitely Denise, it is going to be super beginner friendly. There is one seam in the entire block that you're going to match. I know that sounds crazy. But there is one seam that you're going to match in the entirety of the block. Okay? You will have seams to match between blocks, but it's not going to be bad. It's not going to be bad at all. And there's an alternate option that you can choose that will eliminate the need for matching seams. Sean, she won't give the full dish, only tidbits. That's right, Donnell. Sean said, I can't even heard the word homework. I've been at the school for many years, and that word still gives me the chills. Okay, so and I will rephrase this, the only homework, the only prep work you have to get ready for the mystery quilt, does it have to be cotton? I mean, you could make it out of whatever you want to, but if you want it to lay flat with everything else, please, please, please make sure that everything is all the same kind of consistency. I don't recommend using things other than quilting cotton, but if you want to, you can probably make it work. Because again, there's only one seam in the entire block that has to match. Chloe says, I'll pick my fat quarters tonight. Yay! Donnell says, the pop quiz terrifies me. So your only homework, your only prep work to be ready is pick your fat quarters and you will be pressing them. You don't need to necessarily press them now unless you've got a place to lay out your 24 fat quarters or your 56 fat quarters in one place. So they're not going to be messed with until we get this started in May. I'll have more dates on that coming up. Lay super flat. Batiks it is, lol. Donnell, you don't have to necessarily do batiks because I'm not doing batiks for this. The main thing that I am recommending is that if you have never starched your fabrics before, please consider starching them. Okay? Whether that is best press for you, whether that is traditional starch, whether that's getting a starch recipe and making your own, you want your fabric to not stretch and twist on you. And the flatter and more pressed it is, and if it is starched, it will make your job so much easier. So, I was able to put 2 blocks together in an hour, and that is literally from cutting to completely done. Pressed and everything 100% done within an hour. The only prep work I did for that was I pressed and I starched. Giovanna says, it is because I have a lot of different types of fabric, which doesn't say if it's cotton or other. I do too. I do have quite a few. So you're not alone in that. Lisa says, I learned on my last quilt starch before you cut, not after. Yes, definitely before. All right, so this is a fat quarter I might use, and it's a fairly light blue. So it doesn't contrast a whole lot with my background, but I will probably still use it. So that is an option that I may be considering. I do have this one that's clouds, and I think I have another project in mind for that one, so that one may get held off to the side. I do have this pattern, or this fabric, and I actually have a couple of fat quarters for this. So I'm going to show you guys again. When you are choosing your fat quarters, choose something that if you cut it in a 2.5 inch strip, that the pattern is going to be fine with you. Okay? I don't necessarily need to know that these are hearts. If I don't see that they're hearts when they're done, I'm fine with that. But if something like that would matter to you, this would not be an okay fabric. Giovanna says, okay, I have to get some more starch. Yes. So then I also have this print. And this is a very dark print with like little dots and all. It's really kind of cute. And it goes fine. Would I necessarily want to combine it in the same quilt as the brighter ones? I don't know. I might. So this one, if you can tell, is a landscape design. I think this was cut from yardage. This is not going to go into the quilt. Okay. This is too out there. It will not read as blue because you're going to have sections that are going to be green. You're going to have sections that are going to have animal faces, whatever. But this would not read properly in the quilt. So Sean, if you were looking for a fat quarter friendly project to get rid of that fabric that we all chose in your fabric throwdown, this is the pattern probably. All right, so these sheep, again, it's fine if they are able to be cut into 2.5 inch strips. And I would be cutting off either a sheep head or sheep tail or something. And so an entire section may be entirely too white. So I'm not going to use this. And I do have some fabrics, so I have to be careful. This is not actually a fat quarter. This is a strip. So it won't cut the same as my fat quarters. The fabric itself would be okay. But it's not a fat quarter. And so this is a character print. It's got all kinds of different animals. But I can tell just from looking that this giraffe is going to be much bigger than 2.5 inches. This zebra might be okay. The lion might, but the elephant won't be. And because there's so many different prints, it's not okay with me personally, so I'm not going to use it. If you're okay with the animals being cut up, see, I've got part of a tiger's head folded over. I've got part of the elephant folded over here. If cutting sections of it off are okay with you, that is perfectly fine. It is entirely up to you, but it's not going in mine. So I also have this one, and this is a home with quilts on a railing. Same thing. It's going to be too big of a print. So just look through your fabric stash. This would be okay. These are definitely smaller than 2 inches. All these snowflakes. So it's okay. Fat quarter is either 18 by 21 or 18 by 22. So when you cut a half yard of fabric, you are cutting it 18 inches wide because a yard is going to be 36. So you're going to cut the yard in half. So you're going to have a half yard. And then you're going to cut that in half again. But you're going to cut it cross. So you're going to have, supposedly 21 inches on one side, 21 on the other. That's the standard size. Sometimes you'll find them 18 by 22, just in case. Sean says, I'm going to have to sit on the sidelines. I have a retirement quilt I need to get done in the next few weeks, and a t-shirt quilt that I am just starting that is not going to be as easy as I first thought. Oh, goodness. Yeah. More power to you guys for all these t-shirt quilts. I am not a huge fan. I will do a t-shirt quilt. I've done a t-shirt quilt. But it's not typically my thing. So this print as well. This print is like a very, very big print, but you could easily see it being cut up. Or I can see it easily being cut up. And this would be perfectly fine. So just go through and pick fat quarters that you like, that you think that would look fine being cut up. This one would not be. This is another like landscape border style fabric. So it's going to read totally different in different sections depending on how it's cut. So this is not going to go into the quilt for that reason. Now, here's the loaded question. Plaids. I'm sure somebody has a plaid somewhere, or it's going to come up, or stripes for that matter. I need a serger for the t-shirt. You need a serger. Yeah. You can get away without it, but yeah, serger would definitely make it better. So if you do want to work with a plaid, you can. However, you do need to be okay that your lines are not going to match up. So when it comes to lining things up, you might have it line up perfectly. You might not. If you are not okay with it not lining up perfectly, set this aside, use it for a different project. Do not use it for this project. If you are OCD enough to need those lines moved up, you will not have room to fussy cut. Never a dull moment here. No, of course not. Not a dull moment at all. So yeah, if you think you can cut, if whatever you cut, it's going to be okay with you no matter what section of it you're looking at, then that's the fabric you want to use. Okay? If it's going to look odd, then don't use it. Okay? But you will need 12 prints, no lines or stripes, registered. Yeah, I mean, you can. You can. I'm not going to say you can't use lines or stripes. I'm just saying there is no room for fussy cutting. So if you want to line those lines and stripes up, it's not going to happen in this quilt. Okay? You might get lucky. You might. But I wouldn't guarantee it. Okay? I am trying to make it beginner friendly. Beginner friendly does not mean fussy cutting. Not usually. I mean, I can do a beginner friendly fussy cutting, but that's not going to happen here. It is not going to happen here. Not for this project. Alright, so I'm going to pull you guys off of that. I'm not going to actually cut tonight. I thought I was going to try to, but I don't think I'm going to manage that tonight. So I'm going to grab something, you guys. Hang on. I'm going to show you tiny squares or lines. I mean, tiny. Yeah, super tiny would work. Super tiny would be fine. All right. So I want to go over something today. And we're going to be off of here by 6:30, okay? So, or 6:30 my time, so that's another 40 minutes, okay? I want to bring this out, and I want to show you guys what I've done, and I want to talk a little bit, okay? So, this is the Tumbling Blocks quilt that I have been working on. I have not bound it. It is 100% quilted now. It is trimmed and everything. The guy, Sean, you have that shirt. Well, there may be another one coming out. Jean says, I was napping, so I'll have to watch from the beginning. Yes, that's okay. Well, if you want to stay through the end of this, I definitely do not mind having you live for this. Chloe said that she hears Sean. She's also making projects for herself with deadlines that she often misses. Yeah, now I understand that too. All right, so this is my Tumbling Blocks quilt. So I want to tell you a little bit of a story. I lived in Huntsville, Alabama for about a decade. It's not something I've hidden, not something I have refrained from sharing. When I lived in Huntsville, I was also a quilter then. And I ran a sewing machine store. And during running that store, I made friends with a lady that was about my age. She was not, I think we were even, maybe she was younger than me. We were right around the same age. I mean, within 2 years of each other. And she and I became fast friends because we were quilters. We were both gung-ho about quilting and sewing, and she had much more of an unlimited budget, so if she wanted it, she got it. I, of course, have always been a frugal quilter, so if I want it, I have to save and scrimp for it, and that's okay. There's room in the quilting world for both. We had a discussion on Saturday. If you guys were in my chat on Saturday, there was a discussion about domestic violence, and I apologize if this is coming as a surprise or offensive to anyone. Okay? I'm not meaning to make this conversation triggering, so I hope you will bear with me. When it was brought up in the chat and brought up in the conversation Saturday, I wanted to make sure that everybody knew that if you are ever in a situation where you do not feel comfortable, you do not feel safe, or you do not feel loved, you absolutely can reach out to me. I am not a licensed counselor. I am not a licensed therapist. So there's a lot of things I can't do. But I can be a friend. And I absolutely will be. The reason I bring that up, and that I bring up this quilt, Cassandra cut all of these pieces out. All of the tumbling block pieces. So all of these pieces for these Y seams, all of that, she did that. Cassandra was in a rough relationship with her husband and she left, which is absolutely fine. And instead of noticing that she was falling into another situation, into another domestic violence situation, she chose to stay. I can't go into details because it's not my story, but Cassandra's no longer here. She basically became a victim. And there's only so much that someone else can do for you. If you are suffering, if you are in a situation where you are feeling, or you are even questioning whether you are not being treated right by a spouse, by a significant other, by whoever, please reach out for help. Do not wait. Do not make it, well, I'll wait until tomorrow. Or, well, he or she has never done anything to me directly. Or he or she's never done anything for the kids. Or I'm staying for the kids. I have lived through domestic violence myself. I got out, but I didn't get out unscathed. Everyone who goes through a domestic violence situation does not get out without paying some kind of price. Please do not let your situation become as tragic as Cassandra's. I would have gone and gotten her if she would have been willing to leave. I would have done everything. I would have moved heaven and earth to go get her if she had been willing to leave. She wasn't, so I couldn't. You can't force an adult to do something against their will. And so I'm not going to be that friend. I'm not going to force someone to make that decision. You have to make it for yourself. Please know, if you are watching this video, if you are watching live or you're watching replay, whatever it is, I know I may have offended a few people by bringing this up, and it may be triggering, and I understand. I get it. But you are not alone. There is someone out there that loves you. I love you for existing. Whether that is because you are just here, or because you are a quilter, or because you are just watching this video. Whatever it is, there is an option to get out. I see Chloe's put in, or let's see, Beverly said, so sad. Yes. Chloe said, wow, that is tragic. There's a reason that came up. Yes, it is. There is always a reason. And it is a powerful message. It's when, and I called her Cass. So when Cass passed away, I knew there was nothing I could do. I mean, obviously, she's gone. There's nothing I can do. But I had done everything that I could and everything she would let me. Please know there are resources to get you to safety. Giovanna says, Tammy, sometimes they don't even realize that it is happening. I feel for all those who are going through it. Yes. And that is actually part of my situation, Giovanna. I did not realize that I had gotten into a situation that was actual domestic violence. Domestic violence can be physical abuse, it can be psychological abuse, and it can be financial abuse. Absolutely. There is a lot of people who are financially controlled and unable to make heads or tails. They're unable to make heads or tails of how they got to where they are. And it happens. It does. I mean, I'm living proof that that can happen. So don't let your situation get to that point. Donnell says, staying for the kids does more damage than good to the kids. This coming from someone that lived my entire childhood and teenage life in domestic violence. And speaking out gives you all the power back. Absolutely, Donnell. Absolutely. I was not raised in domestic violence. I was not raised exposed to it. I did not know it was happening to me. Cassandra grew up in a rough situation. She knew exactly what she was in, and she chose to stay anyway. Debbie, hello people, I just got here. I'll have to go back and read what's happened. Debbie, I'm kind of explaining the story with this quilt and why this quilt has such significance to me. Giovanna says, I kicked out my husband when my daughter was 2, so that both my daughter and son had to go. Yep, I understand. Didn't have to, yeah. So I left so that my son wouldn't have to go through it. However, due to situations that were out of my control, that were more in my ex's control, my son ended up having to go through some of it as well. So it wasn't cut and dry because there was no cut and dry option now. Lisa's saying, my mother was a victim for many years by my stepfather. As a little girl, there were many nights I woke up to her screams and pools of blood and the police being called. See, you guys, This is what I'm talking about. There is not a single person anywhere, there's not a single person anywhere who has not been impacted one way or another by domestic violence. Domestic violence can be any of the big trigger words, from sexual assault, verbal assault, physical assault, psychological assault, any of it. Any of it constitutes it. And it can be a parent to a child. It can be a spouse to their significant other. It could be a child to a parent. Elder abuse does exist. It is very real. And that is domestic violence. Financial abuse is what I went through. That was my struggle. I could not get out because I didn't have the money to. And it was either sacrifice everything and have just the skin on my back, or it was stay trying to save my son too. And it's not something I would ever wish on anyone. I don't even wish domestic violence on my worst enemy, because it will rock you to your core if you've never been through it. And it is incredibly hard to get out. Kimberly says, I was in that situation. I didn't even know how it happened. I got out. Yeah, that is the thing. Sometimes you know that you're walking into it, and sometimes you don't. But if you're like Cassandra and you know that you're in that, don't stay for don't stay for physical items. Don't stay for finances. Don't stay for the kids. Don't stay for the pets, for the animals. Don't stay for material goods. I know that that leaving can rock you to your core just as much as going through it. It absolutely can. But you will always have a home here. You will always have a friend here. Reach out to me if you need help. If you need a resource to help you find another resource. Nobody's going to look at a quilting channel and go, ooh, that might be something that she doesn't need to be involved in. Let me get her away from that. A quilting channel is a safe place. Chloe says, I'm glad you could get out of that. Yes, so am I. And I went right back into another one. My first one was financial abuse. My second one was psychological abuse. I was so beat down, so emotionally drained, that I did not have the self-confidence to be able to tell you that I managed to make a quilt. I made quilts. I made a lot of quilts. But I could not have told you and actually been proud of my work. And I was so scared to learn new things in quilting because I was so worried that the next words out of someone's mouth were going to be, well, you didn't do it as good as so-and-so. Or you didn't do this. I wanted you to do this. Those kinds of words were terrifying to me. I couldn't handle it. I had no self-confidence. Being in front of a camera now, I am so far away from where I was then. And I hope and pray and wish and send good vibes and whatever – whatever, whatever entity you pray to, I wholeheartedly support you getting out and you getting to safety, whatever safety ends up being for you. Giovanna says you have to leave for the kids and for babies, not stay. Exactly. Exactly. Let's see. I know I missed one. Jean said, I'm almost 70. I live alone now and have had a rough go. I now have a saying for myself. I went from the frying pan into the fire, back into the frying pan, and now I am the chef. That is amazing, Jean. I love that phrase. I love that whole statement. Andrea said, I shared my story the other night, so I'm not going to repeat other than to say that when abuse starts at a very young age and you live with it your entire life, you may not even realize you are. You're absolutely right, Andrea. And that is beyond true. Because you grow up knowing that that is part of life. You know that that's part of who you are. And you don't realize how much better life can be until you are on that other side and you've given yourself a chance to heal. Joy says that, Jean, you need to put your phrasing on a t-shirt. It is normal until you actually go out and see normal. Yes, Andrea, it absolutely is. I mean, I went to a friend's house and her husband said something to her and she didn't have a bad reaction to it. It was the weirdest thing I'd ever seen. I was so panicked when he said what he said. It was completely harmless. But my reaction to his statement was just a hallmark of the environment I had at home. And I just wanted to make sure you guys knew. I know that it's a deep topic, and I'm so sorry that I had to bring it up. But there's no way that I can stay true to myself. There's no way I can stay true to my channel, and no way I can stay true to who I am as a person and a quilter if I did not share why this quilt is what it is. This quilt will always be mine. It will never go to anyone else. It is the only thing I have left of Cassandra. It's the only gift she gave me, was something to complete and put together to think about and talk about her. She didn't know she was going to be giving me this to have that kind of life story with. She just knew she was giving me something she didn't feel like putting together herself. But it ended up becoming a teaching moment and a story. So I'm going to show you something else about this quilt. And I don't think it shows up in my header anywhere. So you guys may not have seen it before. So this is the very top right corner, or top left as you're looking at it. But if you're laying under it, it's the top right corner. Let's see if I can get it to where you guys can see it. Let's see. I gotta be able to see it too. I'm burying myself, you guys. I'm burying myself. Tracy said I was told I have PTSD from it. Yes, you will. You will definitely have PTSD from it. Giovanna says she is definitely watching over you. I hope so. I hope so. So the top row of blocks, you guys, do you see the one that isn't facing correctly up? Do you see it? I'm not fixing it. I didn't intentionally put it in there, but I'm not fixing it because one of the things she taught me is that some things happen for a reason. Sometimes you make a quilt mistake and it becomes a design choice. Sometimes you just need something different. So there's only one block in the entire quilt that is rotated. And that's where she's missing from my life. That's what I'm going to consider that. Is the missing block. That's where she is no longer here. Okay. So I told you guys I would tell the story of it, but I needed to make sure I had time to tell you guys, because it's not. Andrea says yes, Giovanna says yes, and it is fine as it is. Yeah, it's going to stay that way either way. But I wanted to be able to share with you guys the story behind the quilt. And not all of my quilts are this deep. Some of my quilts are just quilts. Some of my quilts are just things I made because I needed to. They're made because I wanted to. They're made because it's going to somebody. There's a lot of different reasons to make a quilt. This is the first one in a really long time that I've cried as I made it. Every block as I was sewing it, I could not think of Cassandra. Every single block, every single stitch, every time I was taking out that little stitch to make it a Y seam, every little bit was part of her story, part of her life. Now that the quilt's done, aside from binding it, her life is done too. I mean, her life has been done a little bit, but it's finished. And it is both cathartic and terrifying at the same time when you hit this kind of point with an emotional quilt. I have one other emotional quilt that I've made, and I shared it early on. I think one of my first, not my first live, it was in my second live. My second Tuesday night video. And it was my fibromyalgia path quilt. And I cried with that quilt as well. So when you make a quilt, you're either making it for you or you're making it for someone else. And quilts are great for both comfort and for drying those tears. So do not ever think that when you make a quilt, it doesn't need a label. Take it to heart that somebody somewhere may want to know more about the thing that gives them so much comfort and wraps them in so much joy. Tracy says, I hope it gives you comfort. It already does. And it's not even completely done. It's not labeled and it's not bound. My nose is itching still, you guys. I'm sorry. But yeah, it does already give me comfort. Chloe says, I appreciate the story. It is a story of tragedy and triumph. Yes, it is. It definitely is. Donnell says, big hugs to each and every one of you, and even bigger to the ones that need extra to show you are loved and would be extremely missed if anything happened to you. Yes. I wholeheartedly agree. I can't agree more than I do. I know it's hard to see, but I feel it. Giovanna says, I believe that whatever we make is important, and we all make things for different reasons. They are all in different ways important. Yes, they are. They absolutely are. So I'm not going to bring it up again. So if people want to come back and see the video or whatever, we can always point them to this video. When I work on this quilt in the future, I'm not going to go into details just because I know it's so hard to hear and to listen to, and I don't want to exhaust people who are already struggling. That's not why I bring it up. So I do not want it to drag on, but this will definitely be one that, you can always point people back to this video, okay? Chloe says, Tammy, you're not alone. I have fibromyalgia too. Yes. I have fibromyalgia and psoriatic arthritis. Hi, Maritza. Glad you are here. I have fibromyalgia and psoriatic arthritis, and I've had the I've had the fibromyalgia diagnosis for over a decade, and the psoriatic arthritis is a fairly new diagnosis, but it's chronic illness, whether it's one or the other. And that can bring you down its own challenge in addition to whatever else may be going on in your life. So I wholeheartedly give you an air hug. Air hug. Because I definitely understand. Andrea says, 2 people in here reached out to me today because they were concerned about me. That made me feel so much love. Our quilting community is awesome. Yeah, it absolutely is, Andrea. I have been kind of out of the picture, catching everybody else's lives, so I haven't been able to keep up quite like I should, or quite like I was for a little bit. But I'm going to have times that I wax and wane my abilities to keep track, just because of everything that I go through. So it's not for a lack of wanting to, it's just lack of abilities. Beverly says, thank you so much for sharing this heartfelt story. You are very welcome, Beverly. I want everybody to be able to know that they're not alone. And if you ever need somebody to talk to, let me know. Reach out to me, whether it's quilting related, whether you need to just talk quilting and get out of your headspace. I understand that too. Kimberly says, I'm so glad you shared the story. I know someone needed to hear it. And that's perfectly fine. Even if you aren't hearing it now, if you're hearing it on replay, it can be just as powerful then too. So that is fine. Giovanna says, you girls amaze me doing what you do. It makes me feel lazy. But I know that I am not. No, you are not lazy, Giovanna. You're just up way past your bedtime. Just way past your bedtime, okay? You got to give yourself some credit. It is way past your bedtime. Unless your bedtime is like 3 a.m., then we're good. You still got, almost 45 minutes. So yeah, this is gonna get bound soon. I do have a quilt that is going onto the long arm over the next couple of days. I need to get that done. I need to get this completely done and finished and off the wall. I don't have much left on it. And I also need to get the prismatic star put together too. 217, yep. It's 617 here. So I've got 2 quilt tops to get completely finished out. I've got one I need to get quilted, and then we will be starting the Fat Quarter Friendly project at the beginning of May sometime. But I will have updates after I talk to Debbie, because I know I haven't seen, yeah, I saw you in the chat, Debbie, if you're still there. Then you can wake up late, Giovanna, I love you. But I'm going to get with Debbie tomorrow evening, and she and I are going to chat about dates and get everything squared away so that I can get you guys started on your Fat Quarter project, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and end this a little bit early. I know I was going to say we're going to be here till 6:30. We're going to end a little bit early, just so that way I'm for sure off by 6:30 and not dragging you guys out. That is late, Giovanna. Thanks for hanging out with us. Yes, Chloe, absolutely perfect. Perfect statement. Definitely thanks. Yes. Okay, so Debbie, do you want me to call you tomorrow night? Is that easier? Or do you just want the chat? You tell me. But I'm going to get with you tomorrow night after I get done with everything I already told you about. And we are going to have a chat and figure out dates. I just need you to have your May calendar ready so we can pencil in those dates, because I want you to be first. What? No Southern goodbye? Well, Sean, sometimes y'all just don't know how much I do miss Southern goodbyes. I mean, yeah, I probably do need to say bye like 4 times. I know that that's probably what you're talking about too. The y'all and the saying goodbye and you hang up, no, you hang up, no, you hang up. And yes, you can tell immediately that I am from a certain generation because that is my symbol for phone. It is not this. It is this. So, yeah, I will be getting on sometime this weekend. I do not know my dates yet. I do not know my schedule yet. Andrea saying, have a blessed evening, everyone. Love you all. Love ya all. It's y'all. We gotta shorten it. It's y'all. Joy T laughing my rear off. Because I can say that. I did a real Southern goodbye at QuiltCon. It took a good 45 minutes for me to say goodbye to everyone. Yes, Sean. You're no longer Australian. If you're doing a Southern goodbye, you're no longer Australian. We're just going to say that. But keep an eye out. I will be posting up some impromptu lives. I don't know how much warning I'll give you guys, but I am going to try to go live Saturday and or Sunday. I may go live on Friday. I just have to look at my schedule. Pastry Queen Liliana, hey. We used the dial to, yeah. Really, it is y'all. Oh, y'all crack me up. In Jersey, we say, love yas, see yas, bless yas. Yeah. I'm Aus-American. Sean, seriously? Aus-American? Really? That's one of your old workmates called you, yeah. You're welcome, Denise. I am so glad that I could share. So, all right. Andrea, Debbie apparently needs to talk to you, but I get her first tomorrow evening, unless you get her tomorrow morning. Leanna, you'll get to my emails. No worries. I sent you the information in a second email. So all you should have to do is copy and paste if you want to take a look at it. It's simple. It's super simple, I think. I think that's what the problem is. Y'all and fixin' to. Don't forget bless your heart. Well, Tracy, bless your heart, sweetheart. But no, I'm not going to bless your heart. Not that way. Not the Southern bless your heart. Becca and Donna are both live Friday evenings, so that might not be a good night. Yeah, if I do Friday, it's going to be during the day. It's going to be during the day. I'm not going to go on to Friday evening. Giovanna says we go chow, chow, chow. The guy, Sean saying, I'm off to bind a t-shirt quilt. I was assembling and pressing the binding during this live. Awesome. Oh, what is it? One of my husband's family used to say chow mein as his goodbye. Oh, you're no worries, Liana. No worries. You've had a long day. All right. So I am actually going to sign off now. So I will catch up with you, Debbie, as promised, one way or the other. And everybody else, just be watching for lives coming up this weekend. We are going to get some sewing time in. I don't know what I'm going to work on lives yet, but I will get it. Nobody goes on Thursday evenings. Well, I'll look. I might be. So yeah, just keep an eye out. It won't be tomorrow. I can guarantee you guys that it will not be tomorrow. But Thursday through Sunday, I'll get some time in somehow. We'll probably do about 2 different ones. I just don't know, again, what I'm working on yet. So, all right. Well, thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. I am so glad you guys were here. Thank you for being patient. Thank you for listening to the story of Cassandra's Dimension quilt. Thank you for listening, being respectful. Thank you also for everybody who's going to participate in the Fat Quarter quilt. I'm looking forward to that project. So you all have a good evening. Giovanna, you go get some sleep. Everybody else who's on the East Coast, go get some sleep. And I will see you guys later this week. All right. Bye, you guys.